Today, let's learn how to set up 1Password. We're going to go start to finish. So let's jump right in. The first thing you're going to want to do is go to start.1password.com, and there you will choose the type of account you need. For the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to choose an individual account. So we'll click on individual and we'll start setting up the account. So the first thing we're going to do is put in our name and then an email address. And I would recommend hitting the checkbox to get emails from 1Password just so you can stay abreast of updates. Go ahead and hit next. We'll have to verify our email address and we'll get a code in our email. And now we're getting a note that's saying it's uniquely strong that our password and secret key are going to work together to protect the data, kind of like two keys that operate one lock. So we'll need this to set up new devices, but we'll only need 1Password to unlock everything. Go ahead and click next. So now we're going to set up our unique password. This is the 1Password that you use to unlock everything. So this will be the password that you use to unlock the vault on your computer or on your iPhone or Android or other devices, Windows devices, those type of things. So you want to make sure that this password is secure. If you want some help figuring out a secure password that will protect your vault, I recommend going to security.org/how-secure-is-my-password. That's really easy to remember. Just remember how secure is my password, throw dashes in the middle of that. And then you can start typing in your password and it will tell you how secure that password is. One of the things I recommend is setting up a passcode, which is really just a sentence. You'll find out as I type a sentence in that this is actually a really secure method for passwords. So let me type in a password. You'll see how secure it is just by using a simple sentence. So now I've got a secure password. I'm going to go back to 1Password Manager and I'm going to set that password. You'll see that matches. And you notice here, obviously we want to use 10 or more characters. The more characters, the better, but make it something easy to remember and something easy to type. We'll hit next. I am not going to let Firefox save this password. And now we've got to choose a payment method. So I will enter in some super secret credit card information and we'll choose your country or region. Since I'm in the United States, we'll choose United States. All right, our 1Password account is almost set up. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to generate a secret key. And that's done by simply clicking the button, Generate Secret Key. And the secret key has been generated. This is super important. This step right here is extremely important. Do not skip over this. You want to click the button that says Save PDF. I cannot emphasize this enough. Click the button that says Save PDF. This is your password emergency kit. If you'll notice in here, it has your sign-in address where you'll go to visit your 1Password account online. It will show you your email address. It will show you your secret key. And then you have the option in this box down here to write in your actual 1Password vault key. Take this document and print this document out and put it someplace safe. I would recommend putting it in a safe deposit box at a bank. I also would recommend possibly keeping this in an encrypted area online. You can use something like Evernote or Dropbox or somewhere like that and put some encryption behind it. But you need to hang on to this document because this is your method to log in to recover any data from 1Password. So once again, I cannot emphasize this enough, save this document. So I am going to verify that I have this document saved on my machine. All right, now that we've got our emergency password kit saved, I'm going to go ahead and click next. And we're going to allow this to open a link. And since I've already got 1Password installed on my machine, you'll notice that it took me right here. But let's assume you don't have it installed in your machine. I'm going to go ahead and actually log in to my 1Password account. And you'll notice it's pre-populated my email address and my secret key, but I still have to enter the password to get into my vault. And there you go. Now we are inside the 1Password website. This is where you can start setting up your account. Let's get started. We're going to walk through their wizard, and what it's going to do is it's going to take us through the first step of getting all of the applications. So this would be the apps for a Windows computer, a Mac, iPhone, Android, Linux. So you hit the Get the Apps button, and it'll show you. Here's 1Password for Mac, 1Password for Windows, 1Password for Linux, 1Password for iOS, Android, and then a browser extension for Firefox. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that we've already installed all of these. We'll do 1Password for Mac since I'm working on a Mac, and then I will show you how to do the browser plugin for 1Password as we move forward. All right, so let's go back and click on the next thing. So the next thing we can do is you can move in your passwords. So if you have existing passwords, you can actually import them from Chrome, Safari, Firefox, whatever you want to do. Also, if you're using another password manager, you'll be able to import your passwords from any of those password managers. For the love of everything holy, please get off of LastPass and onto something else. Just do it. And then if you've still got them on things like this, like pen and paper, you can import them. You can import from a spreadsheet. So there's any number of ways to get your passwords into 1Password. So we're going to start assuming this is just a blank system with nothing, but definitely want to import things because it'll make your life a lot easier if you import existing passwords. For the purposes of this demo, I'm going to assume that I don't have any passwords to automatically import. So I'm going to once again go back, and it'll ask us now to get the 1Password browser extensions. Like you'll notice under extensions, I don't have anything for 1Password. So let's go through that process to install the extension for Firefox. So it's pretty simple. We're going to click the Add to Firefox button. We're going to say Add, and I'm going to say allow this extension to run in private windows because I want to have access to my passwords everywhere. If you have an existing account, we're going to go ahead and add our account, so we'll sign in. And once again, I have to enter my password. I'm going to turn on Allow Automatic Updates. I'm going to allow it to run in private windows. I'm going to allow this to run on sites with restrictions. I'm going to make sure we pin this extension so I can find it. So you'll see it right here. So when you click on it, you'll be asked to enter your password once again. And there we go. We can see I've already got some information filled in. I've got 1Password stored inside of 1Password so that I can log into the website a little bit faster. So let's try that out. Let's log out of 1Password on the website. And now we are at the 1Password site. So I can actually click on the little icon up here, and you'll notice it'll find 1Password automatically. I can hit autofill and hit sign in, and there we go. And then it's syncing to my vault up here, so you can see that 1Password is showing up right here. Let's flip over to the actual application that's installed on my computer, because I actually use that significantly more. So, okay, so I have installed 1Password on my Mac. I'm not going to show you how to install the 1Password. I'm sure you're familiar with installing applications. It's just a straightforward process. So we've already created the account on the website, so I'm going to go ahead and click sign in. So we're going to sign in with a different account. And I have a number of different ways I can actually sign in. I can sign in via the 1Password website. I could sign in with my emergency kit that we saved earlier. I could sign in with a QR code that's at the bottom of the emergency kit. In this case, I'm going to use the sign in with emergency kit because I want to make sure that my emergency kit actually works. So I'm going to enter emergency kit details. So for my email address, I will populate that. From my emergency kit, I'm going to select the secret key, and then I'm going to enter my password, my 1Password password, and click sign in. And then you'll notice it's giving me an option to unlock easier. Since I'm on a Mac and I'm in the iOS and Mac Apple ecosystem, I have the option to allow this to unlock with Touch ID and to unlock with an Apple Watch. And I do recommend that because it does make life a lot faster. Instead of having to remember that long password or having to type that regularly, this will speed things up. You can turn that off, and it will prompt you to enter your password about every 2 weeks. You can change that setting as well, but I'm going to go ahead and enable both of those and hit continue. I am not going to import any existing passwords at this time. Just hit continue. We've already got the browser extension for Firefox, but if you're using other browsers, you would click this button and it would show you how to install the browser extension for Edge, for Chrome, Safari, Arc, Brave, so a lot of different browsers. All right, and since it's already asking me to update, I'm going to go ahead and let this restart. So let's just get the updated version of 1Password in place. Let's see it starting. All right, so you'll notice now, since we enabled Touch ID, it's prompting me to ask if I want to use Touch ID. So I'll go ahead and just use Touch ID, and we are logged in. We have the option if you want to help collect analytics. This is up to you. I tend to allow them to share analytics because I think the more data they have from a lot of people, the better the product will get. But again, that's a personal decision, and you can always change that. And so here we are. We are inside the main 1Password interface. And you can see it's pretty Spartan right now because we don't have a lot of information in here. But I want to cover a few things right in this interface really quick, just so we have an understanding of how to use the product. When you first log in, this is a vault, this is personal. You can actually go in here and create multiple vaults. So if you want to have a vault that's for work, for example, you could just click New Vault. You could say Work and call it Work Passwords, whatever you want it to be. Hit Create. And now you've got a separate location that will store passwords just for work. You will have the option to choose where you want to save those. So it makes it a little easier if you want to kind of keep things separated and search quickly through them. At the top here, you'll notice this is set to all categories. since we only have 2 items in our system right now, we could say, okay, just show me the logins, or we can say, show me just identities. And identities are very handy. This is where you can populate any information you want to store securely. So I keep things in here like my passport number, my driver's license number, things that I might have to go fill out with some level of regularity on like an online form or something, and I don't want to have to run to another floor to grab that license or whatever. The important numbers are there. I store things like tax ID numbers for my businesses, so I don't have to go look those up. So you can store anything in here securely. It makes life a lot easier. And then I store the same thing for the rest of my family members. So I have things like my wife's information. So if there's an emergency and I need to get a hold of her, you know, driver's license number or passport number, and we're overseas or something like that, maybe her passport was stolen, I can quickly fire up 1Password on my phone and I'll have that information at my fingertips. So I highly recommend populating that with important information, just so it's readily available and with the confidence of knowing that it is stored securely. So we'll jump down and look at just profile. This is where you can enter in, you know, your basic information for supporting 1Password, your credit card and that kind of stuff for renewing the software. All items is where we were. You can mark things as favorites. So if there's a password you visit every day or a note or something like that, and you want to just have easy access to that, you can literally just select an item and say add to favorites, and you'll notice it has a little star on it. And whenever I click favorites now, you'll see that item pop up under favorites. Watchtower is awesome. Watchtower is where it's watching your passwords to make sure everything is secure. It also will let you know if something has been hacked or has been exposed on the dark web or somewhere like that, and it will give you a link to take you right to the problematic area so you can resolve that. So obviously we have 1Password in here and we know it's a secure password, so we're scoring really high on the Watchtower. The starter kit, this is just basically for tags. You can add tags to anything inside of 1Password. So you can say, you know, click on edit and you can create a tag that says 1Password login, whatever you want it to be. So you can see there, once I hit save, the 1Password login now shows up, and if I click that, it'll take me right there. Archive is a place where these are old passwords that you don't want to have show up in your main list anymore. You can, you know, maybe you've deleted that website or the website's gone or whatever, but you might need that password for some reason, or it's a secure note that you don't think you need anymore, but you just can't quite get rid of it yet. You can just, instead of deleting it, you can just say archive it and it'll move it here. And then of course there's a recently deleted for anything you delete. So let's go up here and take a look at the settings real quick inside of 1Password. So these are our settings. I'm gonna move this window out of the way for a second. So there's a number of different things you can set in here. You can keep 1Password in the menu bar. On a Mac, that just makes it handy to have quick access to that. Same thing for Windows. And you can tell it to do any one of these settings. I highly recommend you have it set to start at login. And again, these are somewhat Mac specific, but basically the same things exist for Windows as well, and for Linux. It'll be a slightly different appearance. You can set up shortcuts, so if you want to have it, you know, a quick way to get 1Password to pop up in front of you, you can. For example, if I want to see the quick access, I just hit Shift Command Space and that'll pop up on a Mac. It's kind of handy to have those interfaces. If you want it to lock right away, you just hit Shift Command L on a Mac. I recommend having Submit automatically with Universal turned on. This will just make it a little bit faster to fill in your username and password for websites. Appearance, you can set your appearance however you want it to be. You can have it be light, you can do dark, you can have it switch based on your daytime, nighttime settings. I think these are fairly self-explanatory. For security, again, this is where you can specify whether you want to use biometrics or Apple Watch. You can change this setting for require a password. I recommend every 2 weeks. I think that's enough of an interval. If you're in an office space though, or someplace like a public space where a lot of people could potentially have access to your computer, then I would probably set that to every day, or something a little bit more aggressive than every 2 weeks. But for home use, every 2 weeks is fine. You could obviously turn that off if you wanted to as well. If you're the only person that's ever near your computer and it doesn't go anywhere, then you could set it to never. I do have it automatically lock after 10 minutes. So what that means is I won't have access to the passwords right away, but it's, again, if I need to use a password, it's just Touch ID or my watch to open it back up quickly. Again, you can change that interval to whatever makes sense for you. The clipboard is really handy. So if you want to, some websites you will struggle auto-populating the password field. So if you have this checked, remove copied information and one-time passwords after 90 seconds. If you right-click on a password and choose copy, and then paste it, it will automatically delete that from your history on your computer, from the paste history. If you have this turned off and you right click and choose a password, and you paste it, and then you don't do anything else, and you come back to your computer an hour and a half later, or somebody else sits down at your computer, that last password will still be stuck in the paste memory. So I highly recommend turning this on because you don't want your passwords just hanging around. I do like having universal clipboard turned on because, again, I live in the Apple ecosystem, so it's really nice to be able to just copy and paste the password from one device to another, especially if that device doesn't have 1Password installed. I can just copy it on my phone, copy it, and paste it into another computer that I don't have 1Password on for some reason, so it's just very handy to have. I would recommend turning off always show passwords and full credit card numbers. I mean, it is inconvenient in some ways, but it also is just another layer of protection for you. I mean, if you turn this on, it's kind of like the equivalent of setting a Post-it note out there. You can hold down the Option key though to see those if you choose that box right there. Privacy, I like to show apps and website icons because when you go to popular websites, it'll actually show inside the all items. Like you'll notice this actually has the 1Password icon. So if you go to a popular website and create an account, it will show up with like the emotic or the favicon for that particular website, so it just makes it easy to find things. Likewise, if you store a credit card or something in there, it'll actually show like Visa, MasterCard, American Express. The Watchtower, turn all these on, just have them on, so you make sure that you're doing best practices. So this is checking for compromised websites. It's making sure your passwords are not considered vulnerable. If the website offers two-factor authentication, it will ask you, do you want to enable two-factor authentication on the website? And check for passkeys. So make sure those are all turned on. If you want to install the extensions anywhere, you can just go here, click the Get 1Password for your browser, and it will take you to whatever your respective default browser is and get the plugin for you. Labs is if you want to be in the beta location, you can try out new things that are happening in there. They always are adding new features to this. Advanced, I like the release channel beta because I tend to test things, and experiment with things. You may not want that level of risk, so you can always change that down to production. Everything else in here I would kind of leave as defaults unless you're into, really the nerd level stuff with 1Password. You could do that. Kind of up to you. If you are a developer, you can absolutely set up access to this through a command line interface or a lot of other capabilities that are exposed. I am not a developer, so I don't even look in that menu. And then finally, you just have the About section, where you can do the check for updates and just let you know where things stand. So with that, let's try to populate a little bit more information in here. So I'm going to click New Item up here. So this is just a simple list of items, of things that you can add into your database. So there's a number of things, as you can see. Like you can actually put a secure note in here. So maybe you want to store your bank routing information, and you could just enter some random number because I'm not figuring that out off the top of my head. But that's my bank routing number. And maybe I want to put a tag that says routing number. And maybe I want to add a field for a URL so I know what bank it goes to. So this goes to Chase Bank. Hit save. So now under my all items section, you'll notice now I have a secure note, and there is my note with my password or my bank routing number in there. And again, I can filter this now. So if I just want to see secure notes, I can change that filter. Let's go add another new item. Let's go ahead and store a credit card in here. I'm going to fill in some generic information here. I'm going to say it's a Visa, it's a fake number, put an expiration. And there's a lot of other fields we could put in there. Like it's kind of handy to have the phone number off the back of the credit card. Maybe a website, if you've got a PIN, you could store the PIN there. We'll just put a nice PIN in there. Credit limit is $3,000, just so we know what that is. Cash limit is $500. Interest rate is 25%. It's a fun card. And we'll hit save. And there we go. Now we've got our credit card information in there with confidential information obscured. So this makes it really easy now if I need to go to a website and enter my credit card information. Let's go back to 1Password. Or to Firefox. All right, let's pull this up. And you can see right away, I had credit card defaulted, but I can choose logins. I can choose all items, but you can see if I want to just find my credit card, there's my credit card really quick, and then I would be able to just copy and paste those fields in there. If there was an actual credit card form here, I could just hit autofill and it would actually populate all of those fields for me automatically, which is super handy. Let's see if there's any other new items we want to play with in here. Like I said, you can store your driver's license information in here. You can store any number of pieces of information. I'm not going to go through all of these because I think they're pretty self-explanatory, but it is a great way to just kind of have a lot of information stored together. Let's talk about some of the other things you can do with 1Password really quick. So you can say get started, and this will show you, hey, these are important records that you should store in here or may want to consider storing in here. I find that super handy just to get started. I would skip over the developer tools, but most popular login. So if you've got a Facebook login, bang, hit the button for Facebook and you can populate that information in there. Same for all these other websites. Those are really popular. If we scroll over, if you've got cryptocurrency, it kind of gives you basics for that. Travel essentials will just help you get your passport stored in there. You could store your TSA pre-check number. If you have global entry, you could store that information in there. Rewards cards for your hotels, travel, all of those type of things are popular items to put in there. There's a number of things that you can store inside 1Password. The app is also available for your phone. So if you do all of this on your computer, all of that information will sync to your phone or vice versa. I'm not going to go through the whole phone setup at this time, but it's basically the exact same process. You would just go to your app store and download 1Password from either the App Store on Apple or the Google Play Store. You'll be asked to log in with that. So you would log in with your username, password, and you would use your emergency kit to kind of get you in there. And then if you've already entered stuff on your computer, it will automatically be synced over to your phone. And likewise, if you store something in your phone, it will be synced back to the computer. And the same autofill things work, so you can add the extensions for the mobile browser on your phone. So whether that's Chrome or Safari or whatever, you'll have an option to, if you use your Face ID, thumbprint or whatever, it'll pop up and say, do you want to use your 1Password passwords to autofill? So all that information is in there. Like I said, I think 1Password really is a handy tool for simplifying your life. It's very secure. I highly recommend it. Once again, I am not sponsored by them. I don't get any money for recommending 1Password. I'm not in their affiliate program or anything like that. So, this is just me speaking from my experience. So I hope you enjoy it. And I really thank you for taking the time to sit through this tutorial.